Get your stinking rat out. It's late night large.
Good evening, afternoon or morning, whenever it is for you. Welcome to another Lockdown Large Extra Time. You know the drill by now. We're going to be talking about a football-related subject with a time limit, a kind of strict time limit, 20 minutes. We try and stick as much to it as possible. And this week, Mike, we've decided to talk about basically what I imagine the majority of the avid football watching public are probably talking about right now is what does the future hold for Harry Kane, and should he leave Tottenham? So if you're a Spurs fan or you hate Spurs, listen on for the next 20 minutes and me and Mike will get to the crux of the matter and give our strong opinions as well, one way or the other. So we will start the timer around about now. Okay, 20 minutes begins. Right, Mike. So, Spurs threatened briefly at the beginning of the season to be a big mover and shaker. We thought Jose might have sorted it out, got his tactics, or rather tinkered with his tactics and got them spot on. And at one stage, I think they were top of the league. We were all like, oh, hang on, Jose's having a second wind. Could they? We didn't think they were going to win the league, but could they be there or thereabouts, maybe win a cup? And it's not so much gone horribly wrong, but it's fallen to pieces in the league. They're now looking unlikely at best to reach the top four. If you were Harry Kane, Mike, what's going through your head at the moment?
I mean, the first thing you got to consider as well is outside maybe of football matters.
Okay.
Like, how happy is he? You know, does he want to relocate? Does he want to move? Like, you know, I guess it would be a factor. I mean, look, it depends how ambitious he is. But if it's me, I'm thinking, you know, I'm only going to be in this game for a certain amount of time. Certainly at the top level.
He's just about hitting his peak years, isn't he? He's 27 now.
Yeah.
He's probably got about four, maybe 5 years at the outset. Absolute peak now.
So for me, I'm thinking, all right, I want to start adding some silverware. So I'm captaining my country, and that's fantastic. It depends on what type of person he is. If it's me, I'll probably start thinking about my legacy. You know, when people talk about footballing greats in years gone by, yes, they talk about goals and things like that, and he's scoring goals at Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Tottenham prevent him from scoring goals. You know, it's just silverware. Silverware is a big thing. You look, you know, what people have won. You know, so
yeah.
And also, like I say, it's how ambitious is he? So if it's me, I'm thinking, I want to start adding some silverware to my empty trophy cabinet.
Yeah, I've built that expensive trophy cabinet in my house, and yeah, I've got nothing to fill it with at the moment.
He'll have personal accolades, like, you know, from Tottenham and stuff. But
okay, no, I see what you're saying. I think you're probably speaking for the vast majority of the vast majority of footballers, say, that were at his level would probably be thinking that. Yeah. So the interesting thing I find about Harry Kane, Mike, is in terms of to be fair, we've probably got enough time. We'll talk about some of his less favourable qualities as well, but what he offers, obviously. There's an argument that he's right up there, possibly only alongside someone like Lewandowski in terms of a centre forward in world football. I know you might say Messi and Ronaldo. We don't know how much longer they're going to be around. If you're talking about if you're talking about centre forwards that you'd want right now, straight off the top of your head, Lewandowski, Haaland, and Harry Kane, you'd say, wouldn't you? I don't know if you'd.
Yeah, Kane would be the bottom of that list.
You think you would? Okay. Okay.
The first one I'd have is Haaland.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying, because he's got a rate that's comparable to Lewandowski, except he's at the opposite end of the age scale. So yeah, that makes sense. So the interesting thing, Mike, is do you think so? Just quickly, do you think Tottenham holds him back? Like in terms of what he's producing, they say, what level do you want to reach as a player? Do you think Harry Kane could actually step any further up the scale than he is already if he moved to, just for argument's sake, Real Madrid?
Yeah, I think there's. I don't think it's fair to say Tottenham hold him back, because Tottenham made him what he is. So I don't think that's necessarily fair. But could he be somewhere else, scoring more goals and going for records? Does he have the ability, the fundamentals to go and do something like that? Yes. I mean, he's a fantastic player. He's a great goal scorer, isn't he?
Do you think he could
play?
play?
Scorer of goals.
Do you think he could play in any team in the entire world? Do you think any team would slot him in and he'd be doing what he does now?
I think he could do it. He could do it. He could play for a European powerhouse and operate within their team. At the minute he's a big fish, and no disrespect to Tottenham, and they've got some fantastic players, but he's the big dog, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's the one every week. If he's fit, he's being picked. Don't worry about it. Don't even think twice. Just like England, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's the only one you would say definitely is on the England team sheet. Regardless.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's very one of the things that strikes you about him is very rare that Kane has a bad game. The only times I've seen him have a genuinely bad game where you expected it is when he comes back from injury. Like, I thought Pochettino made a terrible error when he picked Kane for the Champions League final, instead of Lucas Moura, who scored a hat-trick in the semi-final. He picked Kane, and he looked bollocks, basically. He wasn't remotely fit. But when he is fit, 9 out of 10 games, Kane either scores or creates something. It's very rare he doesn't affect a game one way or another. The interesting thing about this, Mike, is if you're talking about should he stay or should he go, is it's one of the, I would argue, it's possibly one of the only, or rather one of the strongest cases where there's actually big downsides to either decision. Because normally you look at someone, they're doing brilliant, and you say, oh, you've got to move. You've got to move. You're not going to win anything here. You've got to move because Real Madrid or Juventus or Barcelona or Bayern Munich are bidding for you. You've got to move. With Kane, it's really strange because he's actually going to be losing out, like, if he moves and if he doesn't. So if he moves, obviously, the big thing is he can chase for trophies. There's a slight downside in it. He might take a while to get used to his new teammates. There's no guarantee that, say, if he has a rough start, that he'll be a guaranteed starter. We don't know that for sure. He could drop out of the team. He might be miserable abroad. His family might like it, not like it. But the other thing that a lot of players, this isn't an issue with, is if he stays, he's got 2 all-time records in his sights that would, like you say, when you're talking about legacy. Now, what would you rather as a player? Look, I won a Champions League as part of Real Madrid, or I beat Jimmy Greaves' all-time Spurs record. I beat the Premier League, Alan Shearer's all-time scoring record. I beat Wayne Rooney's all-time England goal-scoring record, which obviously he could do whichever club he's at. But do you know what I mean? Like, and not forgetting as well that people do go bang on and on about trophies and trophies and trophies, which is fine. But the other thing they don't take into account is players that don't win any trophies who are cult heroes at certain clubs, where the fans will just be at their feet all the time. They could build a statue to them. You're thinking players like Letitia, I guess maybe Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes. These players are cult heroes because they stayed loyal to their club. Does Harry Kane want to spoil that? And he is getting so close to Jimmy Greaves' record and creeping relatively close to Alan Shearer's record. So you see what I mean? There's big advantages and disadvantages to moving or staying. So it's quite a difficult decision.
I guess it depends. It's an individual decision, isn't it? And I think the reality is, it is his decision. So he's in a way, he's in a fortunate position whereby it will be his decision. If he says, "Do you know what? I'm going to go. There's nothing you can do to keep me. I'm going to go." That gets out of the bag. There'll be plenty of top European teams, certainly other teams in England even as well, that will come along and say, "Come play for us then, Harry. Come on." And he'll, they'll want him. Most, if not all, teams anywhere would want him. If maybe not absolutely every team. A manager might have a way that they want to play, a style that they use that he doesn't fit in for whatever reason. But you'd have to think twice about turning your nose up at Harry Kane, wouldn't you? I mean, he's proven. So he's in a fortunate position because it's up to him. If he decides that his cult hero status and domestic kind of records are more important to him, he stays. If he decides, "Do you know what, actually, I want to go and I want to see how many Champions Leagues I can win for the rest of my career," or it sounds disrespectful to Tottenham. We're not talking about okay, they have their ups and downs. We're not talking about a crap team, are we? We are talking about a team that play in fairly regularly in the Champions League, etc. Okay, you don't really fancy him to win it anytime soon, but he'll obviously recognise that he's got a much greater chance of doing that and going somewhere else. It's up to him, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you remember we've mentioned this a couple of shows ago, I think, that he is second only to Haaland, and Haaland only very recently broke that in fastest player to 20 Champions League goals. Now, that is one record that Kane is possibly hurting a little bit about, because can you imagine if he'd been in the Champions League every single season? I mean, it took him 24 Champions League games to get 20 goals. He's got a phenomenal ratio. And if he was at a team that is always, give or take the odd season, in the Champions League, he could make a massive mark in that competition as well. I think the point is now, there's an argument that he can't get much better than he is right now, or at least more efficient as a player, like both in his build-up play and his conversion of chances. And it's like, how many records does it? Because like you say, we said earlier, he'll possibly lose out on the Jimmy Greaves and the Alan Shearer records if he left Tottenham. But unless he went to Man City, obviously, then he'd keep the Premier League in his locker. But the Champions League, he could make a huge mark on the Champions League. Anyway,
yeah, I think the best. Well, there's an option here, isn't there? There's a best of both worlds. Unless he really wants to live abroad, there's which time he can do when he retires for the rest of his life if he wants. But there's a best of both worlds option, which you alluded to there.
Yeah,
would be go to City. Aguero's going. Go to City. You can get all the Premier League records you want. You don't have to uproot your family so much. I mean, you're not talking about moving countries, and you've got a good stab at the Champions League then and in European competitions, haven't you? So
you have, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much professional footballers pay attention to this, and if any City fans are watching this, they're going to be fuming. But I moving to City, I understand to work with Guardiola is like chance of a lifetime, big shot at the Champions League, amazing football, surrounded by these fantastic players. But I don't just City as a club. They're just I don't know. They're so false as a club. Saying you won the Champions League with them is like, oh, I played FIFA with all the cheats on and the easiest settings. But anyway, I digress. That's just a little shot at them. But you're right. He could legitimately move to City. The thing is, obviously, he's going to get a lot of abuse, isn't he, from opposition fans who move to City, particularly Spurs fans, which would hurt him, particularly since he's a boyhood Spurs fan himself. So that's the argument. Is he ready to take?
Would he get that much? It's not like he's going to Arsenal.
Yeah, he's going to get some.
Or would they say, do you know what? You've given us your best years. Thank you for everything you've done. Go and win your European trophies.
Yeah, but then nobody wants City to win the Champions League. So
no, nobody does. But if you were Kane, would you consider City? Forget. You're not you. Yeah. You're not you.
No, you'd have to consider it. You again for the reasons I said. Even if you agree with me that City is a bit of an inauthentic club, the fact that Guardiola manages them, you get to play for one of the luminaries of the modern game and the standard of football that he plays as well. And the fact that you could be the figurehead that could fire them to ultimate glory. No, I can definitely see he would definitely consider that for, there's no way he'd reject that out of hand. I don't know if I can see that, but so okay, Mike. I just thought I'd quickly touch upon it. Do you think there's any areas of Harry Kane's game that he maybe needs to work on, particularly if he's playing more often in the Champions League and maybe in other countries? Now, don't get me wrong. I think we all know that Harry Kane goes down quite easily in the box. So he's very crafty when it comes to getting penalties. And not just going down in the box easy, but he's very good at finding contact. And particularly, again, this is just an axe to grind, but do you think referees are ever going to pull Harry Kane up on that thing he does where he basically cow tips people when they're jumping? Have you seen that little tactic that he employs that risks breaking players' necks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is, well, it's fucking dangerous. I think he does need to be fucking pulled up on it, to be honest.
I mean, I think it has been. I'm not sure if it's been mentioned on Match of the Day, but a lot of people talk about it online, and I'm really surprised that referees haven't kind of taken it, because normally, something's analysed a lot on TV. Referees, groups, and whatever normally pay attention to it. Particularly, say someone like, let's say, for instance, Mohamed Salah. So recently, he's got, whether you think it's justified or not, a reputation for diving. And it seems like he's getting less penalties because referees, it's in their heads that, well, do we know whether he's had sufficient contact? Because Salah has had this reputation for throwing his arms out and collapsing at the slightest contact. I'm just surprised that, because I still see him do it now and again. And, the only thing in my mind is if he does it one time and someone suffers a serious neck or spinal injury, because as we know, the way that the body reacts, if you get tipped when you're on your way down, there's not enough time for the body to react to recalibrate yourself and land safely. And this is why it's so dangerous. And I'm really surprised referees haven't clamped down on it really seriously and said, look, if I see the person behind you tilting in midair, you are going to get either a yellow or red card. So stop doing it. But anyway, I digress. Okay, Mike, quickly, how do we see it? What's the ratio? What's the likelihood that Harry Kane is going to leave Tottenham in the summer from 0 to 100%? Where would you estimate?
50.
50%? I'm going to say 60%. I think he's more likely to leave than he's not, but not hugely likely, I guess. Okay, so if we both think it's on knife edge whether he'll leave or not, here's the next question. Which team is he most likely to go to? Do you think? Thinking about a few things, because obviously, I mean, Daniel Levy is going to ask for probably 150 million minimum. So which clubs can afford that? Which clubs can afford his salary? These kind of things.
I think I can't picture him in a City shirt, but I think they've got to be an option. I don't know if are they looking for I think where are they going?
I think they'll probably go for Haaland first because he'll probably prove to be a bit cheaper.
I think they will, but if he's got any sense, he'll go to United.
But realistically, where is Harry Kane going to go?
Potentially City. There's no guarantee City will get Haaland, and if they don't,
you think okay? So you think City will probably be most likely?
I think it's the most likely.
Okay.
I think City and United both want Haaland. And I think whichever one doesn't get him might have a look at Kane.
Okay. I'm going to go
or Juventus. He could go Juve.
Or to play, I don't think they could afford him, to be honest. Particularly now that as they've got Cristiano, I think he's probably blown their budget.
They're talking about Cristiano going as well, aren't they?
I mean, if Cristiano, it depends. It's the jigsaw pieces, isn't it? Whichever players leave, whichever club, the other club will potentially be looking for a replacement. If Cristiano Ronaldo was to leave Juventus, I can certainly see them sniffing around and saying that they want Harry Kane. The thing is, you've got to remember that the only reason they got Ronaldo is because he wasn't he effectively on a free, so they spent all the money on his wages. It's going to be 150 mil for Kane. You would have thought.
Yeah, I think Juve might have a look at him. I do think domestically, I think Man United and City. I think whichever one doesn't get Haaland will look at him.
Yeah, I think we would. I think we would ask the question. I definitely think we'd ask.
I also think that now more than ever, Real Madrid are a strong possibility. They're so weak at the moment. They'll be looking for someone to change that. I mean, who is it? Like Alvaro Morata or something, like their main striker at the moment?
No, I think it's Benzema, isn't it? But Benzema's like 33.
Is he actually playing?
He's their top scorer, Mike. He's got like 24 goals or something. To be fair, although he's a bit of a bellend as a person, he's always been a really good striker. And the reason he didn't score a lot under Ronaldo is because Ronaldo was the main man. Now he's the main striker. Huh?
He was his bitch.
Yeah, he effectively was Ronaldo's bitch. But no, I see what you mean. Like, if Madrid have the money, because we know that I don't think Madrid are getting bailed out as much as they used to. But if they've got the money,
he's not young anymore either.
No, that's what I said. He's like 33, so they've got to be looking for a long-term replacement. And in the meantime, playing alongside Benzema is not going to be a bad thing. So yeah, no, I think Real Madrid would do very well. And then you could also argue, as could Bayern Munich, because again, Lewandowski's 32, so I think he's 32. Imagine having Lewandowski, mind you. I know Germany don't have as much money, do they? Generally, they don't pay as much. But Lewandowski and Kane, bloody hell, that would be a strike force. Right, okay, that's it for this week then. That's what we think. So me and Mike have both said Kane, it's a knife edge whether he's going to leave or not. If he does leave, we think it's most likely going to be either Man City or Real Madrid. So there you go. That's our opinion. Hope you enjoyed tonight's discussion. Let us know if you vehemently disagree or think we're complete arseholes in the comments, please. Share it with a friend if you think that they'd like to hear us talking bollocks. And obviously subscribe if you enjoy the content we're providing in sense of this. And until next time, we will grow you again.